بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي رب يسر ولا تعسر وتمم بالخير. So let's continue from exercise number 8, which is تأمل ما يلي. Reflect on the following. Here it is اشترى يشتري and فعل الأمر will be اشتري. All right, so do you have any idea about this verb form? Like which verb form is this and how it is used? Yes, does anyone have any idea? This is basically, okay, so this one has to be either it is sakin or it has standing fatha. Ishtara, yashtari, and ishtira'an, that will be the masdar, and fi'l al-amr will be ishtari for the masculine, and if we have it for the feminine, then ya will be added to this and it will be ishtari, so ya will be added to this. But if we don't have ya, that means we are making fi'l al-amr for the singular masculine, yani anta tashtari, yani ishtari. So we know that anta is hidden into that. This is verb form number 8, derived thalathi mazid fi. And as we have discussed that we will start inshallah in lesson number, I guess, 13 or 14 about the derived forms of the verb. Become, okay. So please remember that the hamza of ishtara yashtari is hamzat al-wasl. And we know hamzat al-wasl means when we connect it, we do not read it. How will we read this sentence? Is there anyone here to complete this sentence? Become, we have mim sakin. What is the rule of connecting mim sakin with hamzatul wasl? Do you remember the rule? The normal rule is when we connect mim sakin, we connect it with dhamma, For example, hum, and we say al-muflihun, and when we connect it, we say humul muflihun. And similarly, we say wa alaykumus salam. So it is wa alaykum, mim is sakin, but when we connect it with dhamma. This is an exception here. Whenever we use become, we have to connect it with kasra. We have discussed about this in book number 2 as well. So this is, we can say that this is an exception, that normally when we connect mim sakin, we connect it with dhamma, but whenever we say become, then we connect it with kasra. So it will be become ishtarayta hadhihi sa'ata. How much did you buy this watch for? And how much did you pay for this watch? Ishtarayta, it has inbuilt doer inside it. Yani anta ishtarayta. So this is fail plus file, and as-sa'ata is maf'ul bihi. That's why it is mansub. Hadhihi sa'ata. So we have to only reflect on it. Ta'ammal. Next is ماذا تريد أن تشتري في المكتبة? What do you want to buy from the library? Okay. Now we know that whenever we use an, after an, the verb has to be mansub. Yani the verb takes fatha after that. So that's why it is an tashtariya fil maktabati. What do you want to buy from the, let's say, library or from the bookstore? La tashtari. Now this is fi'l nahi. Don't buy. So whenever we use fi'l nahi, then please remember that the ya will be dropped for the yani anta. So when we use it for the person, for the singular masculine, we will say la tashtari hadha al-mu'jama. Don't buy this dictionary. And again, now we have fi'l al-amr here. Ishtari for the singular masculine, yani anta. Ishtari dhaka fa innahu ahsanu. Buy that one because or as it is very good, or it is better. Ahsanu, or it is the best, in fact. Why it will be it is the best? Because ahsanu, after that, if we don't have min, that means we use it for the superlative degree. So if we have min after that, we use comparative. Anta ahsanu minni khattan, your handwriting is better than mine. But when we have ahsanu, when after that mudaf ilayh, or after that the noun is mahdhuf, or we drop it, then it will be you are the best. So فَإِنَّهُ أَحْسَنُ, as it is the best. And the best example is Allahu Akbaru. Allahu Akbaru. After Akbaru, we don't have min, or we don't have anything else. That's why it is translated Allah is the greatest. So please remember that after af'alu, or after on this pattern, if we don't have min after that, it is translated as the best, superlative. قال تعالى, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says or said in the Quran, Inna Allah. Okay, we know that after inna, the noun is always mansub. So Inna Allah. And now we know that Hamza of Ishtari is Hamzatul Wasl. That's why it will be Inna Allah ashtara min al-mu'minina anfusahum wa amwalahum bi anna lahumul jannata. Okay, now here we have meme sakin, and we know the rule is that whenever meme is sakin, we connect it with dhamma, but this is an exception. Excellent. We have both the rules here. Inna Allah, indeed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ishtara, bought, min al-mu'minina, from the believers. And as we know that it was mu'minuna, and after min it has changed into mu'minina. Una, ina, anfusahum, their lives, wa amwalahum, and their wealth, and their properties, and their money. Bi anna, for that, lahumul jannata, they will have paradise. Such a beautiful verse, and it is like very thought-provoking that for Jannah, if we desire to go to Jannah, then we have to spend our time, our efforts, and our mal that we have in the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so that we can go to Jannah. Such a beautiful verse. So it's not only mal, it is mal, and it is wealth, and it is also it's like our lives as well. And that means our time, our efforts, our skills, our talent, whatever we have, which we could spend in the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, inshallah, in return, we will get Jannah. So the meaning of ishtara, yashtari is clear now, to buy something, and this is verb from number 8. Number 9, ma ana bighafilin, I am not unaware. Hadhihi ma an-nafiyatu, this is ma an-nafiya, which is the ma of negation. Wahiya min akhawati laysa, and it is from the sisters of laysa. Tadkhulu, it enters, and tadkhulu, basically she enters, and we know that ma is harf, and harf, all huruf in Arabic are feminine. So tadkhulu, she enters. Ala al-jumlati al-ismiyati, it enters on a nominal sentence. Fatarfa'u al-isma, and it gives raf'a to the noun. Wa tansibu al-khabara, and it gives nasb to the khabar. Yani the mubtada will be marfu, and the khabar will be mansub. Wa tusamma, and it is called ma al-hijaziyata, ma al-hijaziyah. Nahwu, for example, ma hadha basharan, and this is not a man. So it was basically hadha basharun, hadha basharun. The real or the standard construction will be hadha mubtada basharun khabar. But when we enter ma into that, then what happens here, we can see that hadha is mabni, it is marfu, and basharun has changed into basharan. And why it has changed into basharan? Because of ma. And similarly, again, if we say like this, min ghayr al-Quran, other than the Quran, if you put laysa over here, the meaning will be the same. Laysa hadha basharan, and this is not a man. وَقَدْ يَقْتَرِنُ. Okay, do you remember this expression or this construction in Arabic language? We discussed, I think, in lesson number 2 of this book. Qad, when it is used with the past, it gives the meaning of indeed. قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ. Indeed, the believers have succeeded. قَدْ قَامَتِ الصَّلَاةِ. Indeed, the prayer has been established. But when qad is used with the present tense, as we can see here, يَقْتَرِنُ, then it gives the meaning of أحيانا, yani sometimes. وَقَدْ يَقْتَرِنُ, and sometimes it is connected. What is connected? خبرها, its khabar, bilba'i, and sometimes its khabar is connected with ba, and ba az-za'idati. The ba is masuf, and the sifa that we are using for ba is az-za'idati. And sometimes it is connected, or its khabar is connected with al-ba az-za'idah. Nahwu wa mallahu, and now we know that ismu ma will be marfu, lafzul jalala will be marfu, wa mallahu bighafilin amma ta'malun. So here ba has been connected, and when we talk about the Quran, you know that we will not say it is ba az-za'idah. We will say that this is ba at-tawkid, that it is used for emphasis. But if we talk about other than the Quran, then we will say that this is ba az-za'idah, because we know that there isn't even a single word or letter or anything in the Quran which is extra. So وَمَا اللَّهُ بِغَافِلٍ عَمَّا تَعْمَلُونَ, and Allah is not unaware of what you do. Do you remember any other example of ma with ba from the Quran? Ma anta bini'mati rabbika bimajnoon. Ma anta bini'mati rabbika bimajnoon. And there are many examples in the Quran as well. Now it says iqra al-mithala. Now read the example. ثم أدخل, and then enter ما الحجازية على الجمل الآتية, to the following sentences. Example is here. أنت مجتهد, you are hardworking. ما أنت مجتهدا, so when we enter ma, then the khabar becomes mansub. You are not hardworking. ما أنت بمجتهد, you are not hardworking at all. So the meaning will definitely change. Ma anta is like you are not hardworking, but when we use ba with that, then it becomes more emphatic, and it means you are not hardworking at all. Now we have ana qari'un. Yes, ana qari'un. And when we use ma with that, it will be ma ana qari'an. Yes, ma ana qari'an. Excellent. And when you add ba with that, it will be ma ana
biqariyin.
Excellent. Ma ana biqari'in. And if you remember the first revelation, when Jibreel alayhi salam came to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he said iqra, and the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said ma ana biqari'in. That's exact words from the hadith. Ma ana biqari'in. I am not, or I am unable to read. And you imagine, see over there, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam used the expression with ba, and ma ana biqari'in, yani I am not able to read at all. Absolutely, I cannot read it. Nahnu tujjarun, we are merchants. Ma nahnu tujjaran. Excellent. And yes, ma nahnu
bitujjarin.
Bitujjarin. Excellent. We are not merchants at all. Huwa qaribun, it is nearby.
Ma huwa qariban.
Ma huwa qariban. And ma huwa biqaribin. Excellent. Yeah, it isn't close at all. It is not close whatsoever. Okay, then it says hati, bring or provide, mudariya, the present tense, al-af'al al-atiyati, provide the present tense to the following verbs. Kafala. Does anyone remember the meaning of kafala?
Lock.
La, this is ka, walaysa qa.
Oh, is it kafalat? Is it to do?
Yeah, kafala yakfulu kafalatan fahuwa kafilun. Ana wa kafilul yatimi. You remember that hadith of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam?
Yes, like the two fingers was that.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Okay. So kafala yakfulu fahuwa kafilun. Yakfulu. That means to support, to take care of someone. Then we have ghafala, yaghfulu, yaghfulu. So both of them are on the pattern of nasara, yansuru, nasara, yansuru. Excellent. And it will be ghafala. I think, could you please mute your mics, or maybe I can mute everyone? And if you need to speak, then you can speak. Okay, so ghafala yaghfulu fahuwa ghafilun. Okay, you remember that we are dealing with ismul fa'il and ismul maf'ul. So don't forget to make ismul fa'il and ismul maf'ul. Now it's your responsibility. Whenever you find a verb, you have to make ismul fa'il and ismul maf'ul. Falaqa yafliqu. Falaqa means to split. To split. Falaqa yafliqu. So it is yafliqu fahuwa faliqun. Faliqun. Okay, and then we have asifa. Asifa, to apologize. Asifa.
Yasifu.
Ya'safu. Ya'safu. Yes, it is on the pattern of Sami'a yasma'u. Sami'a yasma'u, and this is and fahuwa asifun. Nahara. Yanharu. Excellent. To chide someone, or to rebuke someone, or to shout at someone. Fahuwa nahirun. Okay. Abara. Ya'buru. Abara. Ya'buru fahuwa abirun, to cross, and you might have seen that the place or the bridge that is used on the road, it is called ma'bar. Ma'baru mushatin, pedestrian crossing. So you might have seen in these countries, in the Gulf countries, whenever you have pedestrian crossing, it will be written over there, ma'baru mushatin. Mashin is the singular, and the plural of mashin will be mushatun. Ma'baru mushatin, pedestrian crossing. And do you remember the hadith? Kun fi dunya ka'annaka gharibun aw abiru sabilin. Please try to memorize these hadith, because one of the benefits of learning Arabic and doing these books, that if we come across any ayah or hadith, we try to memorize it. It's not because we want to say that we have knowledge, but it's like our obligation, because Prophet Muhammad ﷺ has made dua for the person who memorizes the hadith, and then he gives it to the others, so transfers it to the others. So it's very, very important to memorize the hadith as well. So kun fi dunya ka'annaka gharibun aw abiru sabilin. In this lesson, warada. What kind of verb is this? Excellent. Excellent. Yeah, excellent. So
Always comes on the scale of Samia, Ustad.
Daraba yadribu. Daraba yadribu. Warada yaridu. Wajada yajidu. Most of the verbs in Mithal, they come on the pattern of daraba yadribu. And the best example, wajada yajidu. Most of the verbs. Farra yafirru, escape. Do you remember any verse of the Quran where yafirru has been?
Yawma yafirrul mar'u min akhihi.
Excellent. Yawma yafirrul mar'u min akhihi wa ummihi wa abihi. So that day is really, really very, very difficult day for all of us, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us on that day. Then we have sabaqa. Yasbiqu, excellent. Fahuwa sabiqun. Sabiq also used in Urdu as well, something that comes first, and in the previous. And then we have salaqa, yasluqu, to boil something. Hadha baydun masluqun, if you remember, this is a boiled egg. Okay. Then we have, it says, hati jam'al asma'il atiyati. Now we have to provide the plural of the nouns, of the following nouns. Yatimun, and the plural of yatimun is?
Aitamun.
Excellent. It has two plurals. Excellent. It has aitamun wa yatama. Aitamun wa yatama. Then we have quflun, lock.
Aqfalun.
Aqfalun, lock and locks. Okay. Jihatun, direction.
Jihad.
Jihatun, excellent. When we see ta marbuta, most of the time, yes. And abidun, and the plural will be abiduna on the pattern of una. Okay, excellent. Okay, aqfalun. Do you remember any verse in the Quran?
Yes,
where
Ustad,
the word-
Tadabbarul Qur'ana. Then there
Okay,
is any
Surah
document
Muhammad.
has-
Yes, Surah Muhammad.
Surah Muhammad, yeah.
Okay.
Ayat
Yes, does
number-
anyone remember?
Tadabbarul ala Qur'ana.
أفلا يتدبرون القرآن أم على قلوب أقفالها.
Excellent. أفلا يتدبرون القرآن أم على قلوب أقفالها. Then do they not reflect upon the Quran, or are there locks upon their hearts? So of course we are learning Arabic, and we are learning these books that we can implement whatever we are learning. It is a very powerful verse of the Quran. And do you see the combination of a and You know that a and this is called hamza taswiya. Astawa yusawi taswiyatan. And that means the hamza of equality. Do you remember hamza of equality? That if the first noun, or if it has first noun before it, then we have noun after that. All of these things we have learned already, but here it's a little bit different. However, what is connected to what? Tadabbur is connected to qulub. So if we do tadabbur, or we do tafakkur, or if we do ta'ammal, then inshallah our hearts wouldn't have locks on them. And if we don't do that, that means that there is a possibility that we might have locks on our hearts. So that means our hearts can be rusty, they can have locks on them. And Quran is the most beautiful thing, and it's the most powerful thing that can open up these locks on our hearts. And if you remember the hadith of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which is like, inna fil jasadi mudghatan idha salahat salaha al jasadu kulluhu wa idha fasadat fasada al jasadu kulluhu ala fahiya al qalb. So the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that there is a clot of blood in our bodies. If it is good, the whole body is good. And if it is corrupted, the whole body is corrupted. And what is it? It is the heart. Yeah. So that means tadabbur, tafakkur, and ta'ammal is a key to learning Quran, and that's why we are learning the language, Arabic language, so that we can ponder, we can reflect upon it. Now, if someone is thinking like, even if I don't know the Arabic, I can ponder and reflect by reading the translation. Yes, you can do that, but it's only when you are reading it by yourself, sitting in your drawing room. But when you're praying, it's not possible for you to do tadabbur or tafakkur or ta'ammal when you are praying behind the imam or by yourself. Over there, you will only be able to reflect upon it when you know what you are reciting and what you are listening to. So very, very, mashallah, powerful and beautiful ayah. And inshallah, we hope that this Quran and learning and teaching of the Quran will help to open up the locks on our hearts. Now we have the vocabulary part, natijatun, and the plural is nata'iju. Again, it is on the pattern of, yes, please tell me, on the pattern of mafa'ilu. That means it is mamnu min as-sarf. Okay. Any other words that you remember on the pattern of mafa'ilu? Nata'iju?
Masabihu.
La masabihu. Okay. From the Quran, do you remember an example? Kawa'ibu wa kawa'iba ataraba. Yes. Okay. What about namariqu? We have discussed many times. So there are many examples from the Quran on the pattern of mafa'il. Yeah, then we have quflun, and the plural is aqfalun. We have just discussed about it. Nasikhun, and nasakha yansikhu fahuwa nasikhun, and the plural is nussakhun on the pattern of fu'alun, like tullabun, rukkabun, and nussakhun. It can also be nasikhuna. Please remember, we discussed many times that Ismul Fa'il can be on the pattern of any other pattern of the broken plural, but it will always have the sound plural, which will be una, ina, ina. Whenever it is derived Ismul Fa'il, it will always have the pattern of una, ina, هنا. غافل غافلون غافلين. غافلة غافلات غافلات. Excellent. جيد, good, and the plural will be جيدون. Okay, then we have yatimun. We've just discussed yatama and aitamun. And then we have gharibun, stranger, and the plural is ghuraba'u. Ghuraba'u, I believe it is also used in the context of poor. We know that we use in Arabic, we use the word fuqara'u, faqirun, fuqara'u, yeah. Yes, and this is also mamnu min as-sarf. However, in Urdu, we have a different meaning. It means like someone who's poor. And it will be ghuraba'u. Jamrun, it's a live coal, the burning coal. And the hadith, I'm sure, inshallah, you remember as well. Yes. Majusiyun, and the plural is majusun, someone who worships fire. Yes. Then we have fatihun, conqueror, and the plural is fatihuna. Fataha yaftahu, fahuwa fatihun. Does it have any other meaning other than the conqueror? Opener, yeah, the one who opens.
Surah Al-Fatiha.
Yeah, Surah Al-Fatihati, the opening surah of the Quran. Excellent. Then we have Al-Andalusu, which is Spain, especially southern Spain. Jaza'un, recompense. Okay, Jaza'un, we have discussed that it could be Jaza al-Khair, and it could be Jaza al-Su. That's why whenever we say Jazakallah, we have to say Jazakallahu khairan. Then we have Jihatun, side, part, section, and the plural is Jihatun. Mankibun, shoulder, and the plural is Manakibu, on the pattern of Mafaidu.
There was that in jihad.
Sorry?
Ajnihat.
No, that is Janah, and the plural is Ajnihatun, that is used for the wing and the wings.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we have Nawatun, used for the fruit or kernel, and then the plural is Nawan. Nawatun. What kind of noun is this?
This one is Ism Mawsul, Ustad?
La, Ismul Jins al-Jam'iyu. Do you remember? We have discussed a couple of days ago. Like Shajaratun. You remember
the singular ones with
the singular ones that have, and they represent the whole jins of the thing that we are talking about. And it has, this is Ismul Maqus, that's why this is Nawan. And then we have Mu'jamun, and the plural is Ma'ajimu, again, on the pattern of Mafailu, Mamnu min as-sarf. Kafala yakfulu, fahuwa kafilun. And okay, now you might have noticed that there is a word which is also called kafilun. So what is the difference between kafilun and kafilun? Yesterday, if you remember,
file, another is Ism Maf'ul.
Yesterday, you're right. Yesterday, we discussed that fa'ilun could be the receiver of the action, like jarihun, like maridun, right? Like qatilun, okay? So please remember that this pattern is very common in Arabic language, and it is used in different ways. So qatilun wa jarihun wa maridun is ismul maf'ul. But when we say kafilun, it is basically ismul mubalagha, the person who does something again and again. So kifala, kafilun means who does, who cares someone, but not all the time. But kafilun means someone who cares about someone all the time. Similarly, I remember Irfan asked me once, khataba yakhtubu khatibun. Khatibun, someone who delivers a speech. He delivered the speech and he left. But khatibun means who delivers the speech on a regular basis. That's why we call it khatibun. Similarly, we have rahima yarhamu, and we have rahimun. Rahimun, right? Similarly, we have salima yaslamu, salimun. So it have salimun and salimun, rahimun and rahimun. So sometimes it comes on the pattern of dur, ismul mubalagha, and sometimes it comes on the pattern of the receiver of the action. For example, now inshallah you will tell me from rajama, rajimun. So what do you think? Rajimun is on the pattern of dur or the receiver?
Receiver.
The receiver, yeah. How do you know that from the context? Yeah. A'udhu billahi minash shaytanir rajim. The one that has been, has been stoned. You know, rajm is stoning, and someone who has been stoned. Yeah, okay. So inshallah, from the context, we will be able to figure out that this pattern, whether it has been used on the pattern of ismul fa'il or ismul maf'ul, or it is used for mubalagha. It is not used for ismul fa'il. Either it is used for mubalagha or it is used for ismul maf'ul. So that's why we have kafala yakfulu, kafilun wa kafilun. Kafilun means someone who takes care only once. Kafilun, you remember the difference between da'ifun, as we discussed in the beginning of this lesson, maybe I think, or the previous lesson, on the pattern of fa'ilun, that means sifatul mushabbah, like it has the action that is being done again and again. Da'ifun, kareemun, do you remember that? I hope you didn't forget. It seems you have forgotten. Yeah.
That one.
The qareebun, like ba'idun, yeah, something, so that it's on the same pattern.
No, Ustad.
Then we have abara. It was the previous lesson. Abara ya'buru, uburan, to cross. Abiru sabilin, the traveler, and abiru sabilin. Okay, this is the plural. Why it is abiru?
Because it's the plural. It is this thing. It is mudaf ilayh.
Excellent.
The noon gets dropped.
Okay, excellent. And this is inshallah in the coming lessons we will see that whenever we have abirani or abiruna, whenever we have aniuna, yes, whenever we have aniuna, and when it is used as mudaf, then the noon gets dropped. We should know that, like, then otherwise you might be thinking like abiru, what kind of pattern is this? So that's why the Sheikh is introducing us over here that whenever una, ina, or ani, aini, whenever it is used as mudaf, then the noon gets dropped. Abiru sabilin, and the travelers of the path. Qabada yaqbidu qadban ala shay'in, or ala shay'i, to catch, to get hold of something. Salaqa yasluqu salqan, to cook in boiling water only, and that means to boil something. Dafana yadfinu dafnan fahuwa dafinun fadhaka madfunun. I would like you to be with me, to bury. Bara'a yabra'u bar'an fahuwa bari'un. Yeah, first of all, yeah, fahuwa bari'un. Yes, al-bari'u al-musawwiru, al-bari'u. That when we use al, then it will be the name of sifa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Bara'a yabra'u bar'an, to create. And bari'u, the creator.
It creates from nothing, Ustad. This one, barra.
Khalaqa yakhluqu, to create from nothing. And of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he creates whatever he wants to create, and he doesn't need to have any material to create anything. Then we have jahila yajhalu jahlan wa jahalatan fahuwa jahilun fadhaka majhulan. Okay, so I'm sure you remember about majhul now, passive voice, to be ignorant. Shahida yashhadu shahadatan fahuwa shahidun fadhaka mashhudun. Please give me a verse of the Quran where both shahid and mashhud have been used. No, before that. والسماء ذات البروج واليوم الموعود وشاهد ومشهود. Excellent. شاهد ومشهود. Perfect. Then we have kariha yakrahu, and subhanallah, it has three masdar, and or we will say thalathatu masadar: kurhan wa karahatan wa karahiyatan. Kurhan is the most common, and it is also used in the Quran. Kirahatan and karahiyatan are also used. That means to hate. Nahara yanhuru, naharan, to chide, to rebuff, to shout. Yeah, فأما اليتيم فلا تقهر وأما السائل فلا تنهر. Okay. فر يفر فرارا. Okay, what will be the ismul fa'il of فر يفر? Yalla, quickly. فر يفر فهو فار.
Farun and Mafrur, sir.
Mafrurun. Excellent. And then now inshallah you will give me jarra yajurru.
Majrurun.
Jarun wa majrurun. Excellent. So now you know jarun wa majrurun, they come from mudaf. Jarra yajurru, to drag something. Fahuwa jarun, the one who drags. Wa majrurun, someone that has been dragged. And the noun that has been dragged takes kasra. That's why we say jar and majrur. Falaqa yafliqu falqan. to split, to cleave. You remember the verse of the Quran?
إن الله خالق الحب
فالق الحب
أعوذ برب
والنوى.
الفلق.
والنوى.
Excellent.
أعوذ برب الفلق.
Falaq is the, that should be the masdar as well. Falqan wa falaqan. And in Allah, faliq al-habbi wa nawa, as we have discussed. Dalla yadullu, dalalatan, also very, very important verb. It is used a lot in the Arabic language.
Also to
Dalla
guide.
ala shay, yes, to guide, to indicate, to denote. Okay. Dalla yadullu, dalalatan. What will be the fi'l al-amr? I want you to practice whatever you have learned earlier in
Dal.
book number 2.
دال
Dulla, dulla,
دل
dulla, with dhamma. It will be with dhamma. Jara yajuru, jurra. We are talking about fi'l al-amr. Fi'l al-amr always, it will be, not always, but one of the possibilities are, it
One
will
of
be,
the patterns.
yeah, it will be dulla. Jara yajuru, jurra. Jurra al-kursi, drag the chair, yani, give it to me. Then we have, and dalun will be ismul fa'il. Madalulun with dal, madalulun will be ismul maf'ul. Qama yaqumu qiyaman, okay, to stand. But when we have it with the preposition of ba, that means to carry out or to perform an action. And as we discussed yesterday, whenever you do something, just use qumtu bi and then use the activity that you have performed, and that's it. Okay. So qama yaqumu qiyaman fahuwa
قائم
qa'imun. Okay. And fadaka,
مكائن
we cannot make it on our own like the way we want to.
No.
Maqumun, maqumun.
مقوم
Okay, excellent. And that's the reason why we are discussing now, because in the coming lesson, we have ismul fa'il and ismul maf'ul for the weak verbs. So that's why I'm just preparing you from now. Aqala yaqilu, aqalan fahuwa aqilun, to understand. Yes, and ma'qulun, ma'qul, min al-ma'qul, is it okay? Is it possible? Are you doing it? Ahada min al-ma'qul, is it okay? Is it appropriate to do that? So min al-ma'qul is used to talk about something which is okay to do or not okay to do. Naqala yanqulu naqalan, to move or to
Manqul.
remove. Yeah, fahuwa naqilun, fadhaka manqulun. Asifa ya'safu asfan, fahuwa asifun, فذاك مأسوف. Okay. كسب يكسب كسبا فهو كاسب فذاك مكسوب. Okay. And inshallah we will see that we have kasaba and iktasaba. So both of them are used in the Quran. لها ما كسبت وعليها ما اكتسبت. So we will see like what is the difference between kasaba and iktasaba. All right. This is the last page. رسب يرسب رسوبا فهو راسب فذاك مرسوب. To fail the exam. Okay. Do you remember the word that is used in the Quran for someone who has failed? Fashilan, fashala, from, if you remember, we discussed in the previous lessons. Fashala yafshalu fahuwa fashilun. Fashil is someone who does not succeed to perform some activity. And this is connected to the exams, especially in the exams. Samaha lahu bikadha yasmahu samahan wa samahatan. So to permit or to allow someone, samaha lahu, to allow someone to do something, bid-dukhuli or bil-khuruji. So when you allow someone to do something, the first part comes with la and the second part comes with ba. Waqa yaqaw waq'an wa wuqu'an, to fall or to happen, to strike. Idha waqa'at al-waqiya. So to strike as well, it is also used in this context. Ashara yushiru isharatan.
Also to locate, no, sir. It's located. Or
Location for the yes, yes. Taqaw madinati fil Jubail or bil Jubail, or Taqaw madinati fi Saudiya. My city is in Saudi Arabia. So that's right. It is also used for the location as well. Ashara yushiru isharatan, to point, and ishara ila fulanin, towards someone. Yes. Farraja yufarriju tafrijan. Sabbaha yusabbihu tasbihan. Farraja bainahuma, to separate or to keep apart. Then we have fi athnai kada, during. Fi athnai is basically used during. Ta'atun, obedience. Ishtaqqa yashtaqu ishtiqaqan. to derive. What are we discussing about in this lesson? Ism al-fa'il and ism al-maf'ul. What do we call them?
مشتقات
Mushtaqatun, derived forms of the noun. Excellent. Sagha yasughu sawghan wa siyaghatan, to form a word. And we have heard the word sighatun many times, and the plural of sighatun is siyaghun, on the pattern of fi'lun, siyaghun. Then we have here dhanna, to think, or he thought. Dhannan, thinking. Dhanunun is a plural. Zamanun, and the plural is on the pattern of af'ilatun, azminatun, shahriyun, monthly. Okay, now here today in the beginning of the lesson we discussed about ishtara, yashtari, ishtira'an. Okay, now we need to know a little bit about this, that sometimes a verb is used in Arabic language, like it is used the derived form of the verb, but the masdar is used from thalathi, or it is used for the verbs that have 3 root letters. And this is also the usloob of Arabic language, okay? For example, ishtara, yashtari, ishtira'an. But if you see the note here, the masdar of the thalathi mujarrad, shara, yashri, shira'un is very common. If you have been to any mobile shop or any of the shops over here, you will see shira'un wa bay'un, selling and buying. So shira'un is more common than ishtira'un, okay? And the one that is the formal one is ishtara, yashtari, ishtira'an. Okay, now, you know that whatever Sheikh has discussed in these lessons, it's not without any specific reason. If you see here now, that sometimes in the Quran, we have the derived form, 1 minute please, we have the derived form of the verb. For example, ahabba yuhibbu. And what will be the ism al-fa'il, masdar of ahabba yuhibbu? Ihbaban, ihbaban, ahabba yuhibbu, ihbaban. But in the Quran, it is not used. In the Quran, if you remember in Surah Al-Fajr, verse number 20, وَتُحِبُّونَ الْمَالَ حُبًّا جَمًّا, حُبًّا جَمًّا. Okay. Now you can see here that أَحَبَّ يُحِبُّ, وَتُحِبُّونَ, and you love, وَتُحِبُّونَ الْمَالَ, and you love wealth. Okay, so it is not إِحْبَابًا جَمًّا, it is حُبًّا جَمًّا. So that's why the Shaykh is telling us over here that sometimes in the Quran, that maf'ul mutlaq, we know that maf'ul mutlaq is always the masdar. For example, nasara yansuru, nasran daraba yadribu darban.
Derived from the verb itself.
Yeah, derived from the verb itself. But this is the usloob of the Quran in Arabic language, that the root letters should be the same. The root letters of the derived form of the verb and the root letter of the masdar that we are using, they should be the same. So ahabba, yuhibbu, ihbaban. So the root letters are ha, ba, ba. Similarly, habba, yuhibbu, habban. The root letters are the same, ha, ba, ba. So that's why in the Quran, instead of ihbaban, the masdar that has been used is hubban. Wa tuhibbun al-mala hubban jamma. And you love wealth with immense love. So that's why these are the small details, but inshallah, when you are reciting the Quran, now you will see that we have discussed about maf'ul mutlaq. And we know that in maf'ul mutlaq, we always use the masdar as like the receiver of the action, or we always use masdar. So you might be thinking like, where is the masdar over here? We have tuhibbuna, which is ahabba yuhibbu, but instead of ihbabun, hubban has been used. So from here it is confirmed that if it is derived form of the verb, it's okay that the masdar can be used from the thalathi or the verbs or that have 3 root letters. All right, so, and what's the meaning of shara, yashri?
It can be either buy or sell. It is used in both the contexts, no, Ustad?
It is used to buy, yes, but in the Quran, it is used in both contexts. Subhanallah, another beauty of the Arabic language, that normally it means to buy, but in the Quran, if you go to Surah Yusuf, verse number 20, I guess, or verse number, وَشَرَوْهُمْ بِثَمَنٍ بَخْسٍ دَرَاهِمَا. And yes, they sold him for like very few darahim. So also it is used in the context of وَشَرَوْهُمْ, شَرَوْهُ, and it's not like وَبَاعُوهُ, it is وَشَرَوْهُ. So it is also used to mean opposite as well. So there are very few verbs in Arabic language or in the Quran, but whenever we get the chance to learn them, we must try to learn them and write them down so that when we see them in the Quran, we don't get confused, and our learning and inshallah our ma'rifah inshallah increases. All right, so this lesson is completed, and inshallah in the next lesson we will start our lesson number 5. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Jazakallah khairan.
وإياكم.
عليكم